In a dark room, a cheerful voice of a girl comes from a glowing little device. She introduces herself happily, saying she's Amisaki Nina, a new streamer. She thanks her viewers for coming to watch her very first live stream. There are 102 people in the top chat, and the comments start rolling in. Pepper says they're excited to watch her stream. Someone else compliments her cute voice. Two others ask what she'll be doing during the stream. Lots of new VTubers have been appearing lately. Meanwhile, a boy is snuggled under his blanket in a dimly lit room, tapping on his small screen. Another comment pops up from Alan, who says this is his first time watching a stream like this, and that he'll be cheering for her from now on. He tells her to do her best. Nina murmurs in surprise, noticing a donation from Alan. She asks if he found her stream by chance among many others. She expresses how happy she is and thanks him for discovering her. She tells him that she liked him from that moment and that she's fallen for him. In a convenience store, people are gossiping. One person asks another if they know Miyagi K. They say they heard he used to be a programmer at a big company. Another person, curious, asks why he's working at the convenience store now. Someone else answers that it seems he was dumped by his fiancée, which left him with a psychological trauma. They comment on how young people these days can't work with a broken heart. Miyagi looks towards the staff room door where the voices are coming from. Another person asks where they heard this story, and they reply that their nephew's girlfriend works at the same company. The gossip continues, saying Miyagi is 27 years old, and they feel sorry for his parents because he's single and working part-time at his age. Miyagi quietly realizes that it's Suzuki-san and Sadu-san talking. He wonders why they couldn't at least gossip after he goes home. Then he looks down and thinks to himself that it's all true. After dating for 4 years, the girl who dumped him was his senior colleague at work, which became a rumor at the company. He always felt like everyone was laughing at him. He became really sad and quit his job on the doctor's advice. He couldn't even handle his daily life, let alone work. He ended up living among piles of trash until he met her. Suddenly, a loud voice called out to him. He realized it was his landlady. She was an old lady with a bright smile and missing teeth. She cheerfully asked him to take a look at something. She showed him a box with posters of girls with cat ears. She asked if it was okay to draw them. He said he had already run out, and she encouraged him to keep drawing. Inside the box was a QR code with instructions for a prize, a rubber strap. The cheerful landlady asked if Miyagi K was his favorite. He replied no, he didn't know her well. He admitted he liked Amisaki Nina, a VTuber who started this year. Nina's cheerful and spontaneous live streams were very popular, and she had gained a lot of followers on social media. Thanks to her, he had recovered enough to work part-time again. He looked at a keychain in his hand that had a chubby version of himself drawn on it. He kept drawing lottery tickets until he won. Even though he was out of money for the month and still had rent to pay, he figured he would delay paying the water bill. Walking through the park, he saw a girl with long hair sitting on a bench. He wondered if she was a student and why she wasn't at school during the day. Maybe she had run away from home. He stood there thinking, but before he could figure it out, she turned to look at where he had been standing. He quickly left, worrying that if he made eye contact with such a young girl, he'd be reported as a creep. He knew he wasn't doing anything wrong, but he felt people would judge him unfairly. He remembered how people used to look at him with suspicion. Just then, a childlike voice called out from behind him. He turned around to see familiar sparkling eyes and a little fang in her smile. She held up a keychain and said he had dropped it. Terrified, he thought, "This is bad." She mischievously asked if he was the owner. He stammered that it was his and apologized for any trouble. Thanking her quickly, he rushed off. As he watched her fading figure, he wondered if she had noticed him watching her. If she had, he was in trouble. It got even worse. He reached his front door and searched his pockets. He stood there for a while, wondering if he had lost his house keys. He pulled out his phone, deciding to call the property management company. Of course, his phone was dead. A familiar voice called out to him again, asking if he was in trouble. He turned to find the same girl outside his apartment building. She looked at him curiously while he wore a worried expression. They both sat on a bench near the sidewalk as he called for help with her phone. He handed it back to her, thanking her without meeting her eyes. She said it was no problem and started to leave. He called after her, asking if she was going somewhere. She pointed out that she was free until the management company person arrived. She asked him to keep her company. He turned to her but looked away nervously. When he didn't move, she urged him to sit with her as a thank you for borrowing her phone. He finally sat down and told her he had seen her around a lot lately. He used the opportunity to ask if she had run away from home. She admitted that she had after fighting with her parents. He was relieved that she didn't seem to notice he had been watching her earlier. She said she first spent time at internet cafes and karaoke places, but they were too noisy at night. Turning to him, she changed the subject and asked if he liked tubers. He was confused when she said the rubber strap from earlier was part of a special lottery released today. Jokingly, she said he looked like someone who enjoyed anime. He replied that he hadn't watched much anime. She exclaimed if that was true. She didn't know much about tubers either, except for the girl on the rubber strap. He told her the girl's name was Na. He shared that Na was a special case. He used to date someone before he admired Na as a senior colleague. He wanted to work hard to be a good partner, but in the end, his partner cheated on him with someone higher up in the company. They eventually broke up the next day when he went to work. The cheating topic spread everywhere, making him feel hurt and betrayed. Even when he tried to tell the truth, no one believed him. They said Senpai was the one who was cheated on, and that Miyagi was the one who had hurt her feelings. The rumor was that Miyagi had cheated on Senpai and hurt her deeply. He told her that after everything fell apart, his life went downhill, including losing his job, all because she dumped him. He quickly apologized for bringing up such a sad topic. She reassured him, noticing the red on his cheeks, and wondered why talking with her felt so easy. He continued, saying that during that tough time he saw Mina's stream. Watching her cheerfully work hard, even when people were mean, gave him courage. Thanks to that, he recently started working part-time. Maybe he could have felt the same with another streamer, but it was Nina who saved him, so she was special to him. He admitted he was still scared of getting involved with people and called himself a gloomy loner. Looking at the keychain in his hand, he said he hoped to one day be able to smile brightly in front of people, just like Na does. He's working part-time at a convenience store now, but if he could be like that, he felt he could take a job similar to the one he had before and give it his all again. The girl looked at him sadly but encouraged him, saying he could really do it. He smiled and said he hoped so. He admitted that he once thought streaming was just a silly pastime, but she interrupted him, saying it wasn't silly at all. He looked at her, puzzled. She explained that while there are different kinds of streamers, many take streaming very seriously as a job. She told him that streamers constantly think about their next stream so they can enjoy it with their viewers. They even worry about their characters so they don't overlap with other personas because they love what they do and take it seriously. She told him not to say they were just playing around. He was about to say something, but a voice interrupted them, saying they were from the property management company. He quickly bowed to her and said the person from the company had arrived. He thanked her for everything and ran off. The person handed him a duplicate key and told him to be careful from now on. Standing in front of his door, he thought about how the girl from before seemed a little angry in the middle of their conversation. He unlocked the door, thinking that, of course, he wasn't good at talking with real girls. Opening the door revealed his messy apartment. He sighed, feeling defeated, and jumped onto his bed, which had a body pillow of Nina with Na. With Na, he could watch streams and leave comments. Sometimes, Na would reply to one of his comments, and that was enough for him. He remembered the text that said they had broken up. He sent a message saying he expected more from Mayaba and was disappointed. He thought about how it wouldn't hurt in real life. But still, he woke up at night, hugging his pillow. Sleeping in a weird position made his stomach growl, so he got up and grabbed some food. As he walked back, he wondered what happened to the girl he saw earlier. It was late, and he shouldn't be here in the park. Then he saw her again, looking around nervously. He thought he should thank her, but then remembered she seemed mad at him last time. Just then, he noticed a man approaching her. Worried, he watched as the man yelled at her. They seemed to be arguing. Miyagi didn't want to get involved and tried to pretend he didn't see them, but the girl called out to him, waving. She loudly said he was late. Confused, he looked back at the man who seemed even angrier. The girl told the man that Miyagi was her boyfriend and they were leaving, but the man didn't believe her. He grabbed her shoulder, saying she couldn't escape. Miyagi, watching from the side, decided to intervene. He told the man to let her go. The man claimed she had nowhere to go, but Miyagi insisted, saying she could handle things herself. As the man and the girl kept arguing, Miyagi thought about leaving but remembered how the girl had hoped to one day smile brightly in front of people like Na. That thought made him stop. He clenched his fists and told the man he seemed to really hate what he was doing. The man angrily grabbed Miyagi's shirt, demanding to know what he meant. Awkwardly, Miyagi said it wasn't him who had said those things. The man told him he was being annoying and asked what he was trying to do. Miyagi, nervously raising his hands, said getting beaten up by a strong-looking guy was his hobby. He spread his arms wide, saying he just wanted to be punched. The man, confused and freaked out, told Miyagi to stop and stay away. Finally, the man shoved Miyagi to the ground, shouting for him to get lost. Miyagi, wincing in pain, saw the man walk away. The girl asked if he was okay, and he replied, "It was the guy who started it." Out of nowhere, he found himself talking to her. She apologized for dragging him into this mess, but he quickly said he should be the one apologizing. She looked at him and asked if something had happened before. He admitted he thought he might have made her uncomfortable earlier. She reassured him that wasn't true, but he insisted on making it up to her. Then, out of the blue, she suggested he should stay at her place. That idea made him nervous, but he kept quiet. She softly said it wouldn't be a big deal. The girl smiled shyly and pulled out her phone. She explained she wondered if he was hesitating because he felt awkward. She said she was really glad he was around now, even though it was dark and she was in trouble. She thought no one would find her, so she thanked him with a big smile for finding her. His eyes widened, and he realized she was right. He didn't think he'd fall for anyone in real life, but here he was, captivated by her. She whispered her name, Amasaki Mina, and his heart skipped a beat. He asked why she thought he was Na, and she wondered what he was talking about. He couldn't believe he'd meet the real person behind Na in such a place. She explained it was because of her voice and the way she spoke. She closed her eyes and admitted he caught her easily. She promised to be more careful from now on. In his mind, he agreed, amazed at how easily she confessed. She revealed she was a fan of Nina, worried that this encounter might ruin the image he had of her. She apologized, still sitting on the ground, and asked if he wouldn't deny it. He wondered if VTubers worried about their personal info being exposed online. She confessed she didn't trust herself to lie convincingly and thought honesty was better. She begged him not to tell anyone about this. He assured her she didn't need to worry. He wouldn't tell anyone. She bowed deeply in front of him, exclaiming, "Thank goodness." Then she held out her pinky finger to him, suggesting they keep today's events a secret between them. He wrapped his pinky around hers, feeling like this was a special moment just for them. As they talked, she suddenly whispered about a pinky promise. Turning around, she said he could leave now, but he called out, asking if she had somewhere to go. She admitted she didn't, and he smiled, saying he'd figure something out. She suggested joining one of his streams next time, and he thought he really met the person behind Na. She turned back to him, stuttering a bit before saying that it was late and the outside could be dangerous. She said she could stay for just the night and asked if he wouldn't mind. As they sat on the floor with a Nina body pillow beside him, he mumbled how much he liked her. He saw the paper Miyagi gave him with her contact info. She told him to use anything in the apartment and to leave the door unlocked if he went out. He asked if she was going somewhere. She shyly scratched her head and said she'd head to a net cafe because she wouldn't feel relaxed if she stayed. He protested, saying it was her home and she didn't need to worry. As she walked out, she promised to return before noon. He lay on his pillow, wondering if he was pronouncing Miyagi's name right, thinking she was nice. He pondered if inviting her to stay was okay, deciding it was fine since they weren't really living together. He realized leaving her alone wasn't safe. Leaning back, he reflected on the awkward situation. Even though he didn't want asked if she was Na, he knew Na was special to him. Closing his eyes, he decided not to pursue meeting the real person behind Na. At 11:32, he returned to the hotel, hesitating before the door. He turned the knob and saw her in the kitchen with her hair in twin tails. She greeted him warmly. He asked why she was still there, and she reminded him it was just for the night. She felt it wasn't right to leave after everything. He pointed out she was staying longer than planned. She shrugged and placed a plate in front of him, suggesting they eat together. They sat on the floor, and she explained it was fried noodles and rice. He wondered why there wasn't a table and took a bite. Surprised by the taste, he softened and said it was pretty good. She was happy he liked it, mentioning it had been a while since she ate with someone. She asked how long it had been since someone welcomed him home, and he nervously fidgeted. She had something to say. Earlier, when she called him Autan, she wanted to know if he would let her stay a bit longer. He spat out his food, shocked. She explained Autan was short for Abba-san, and asked if he didn't like it. Relieved, he turned to her computer, asking whose PC it was. She said it was hers, and admitted she tried editing her previous live streams into clips. She confirmed it was Nino's streams, but confessed she wasn't good with computers and couldn't get it right. She wondered aloud if she should delay trying to edit her next stream. Suddenly she exclaimed and asked if she could take a look. Without hesitation, he let her use his laptop. He asked if he had messed up any data. Her eyes widened as she carefully checked everything, and she brushed back her long hair, asking if she could look closer. He let her continue her work. After a while, she told him she might be able to restore the original stream. He was amazed and cheered, saying she really did it and that it was awesome. She mentioned wanting to add a thumbnail here, and he agreed. Looking at the screen, she asked if it was okay like this. He nodded, saying she could do it. She pointed out that the audio sync in another video was bad and suggested it would be better to fix it on a proper PC. He asked if she couldn't fix it as well. She said she could and asked him to wait a bit. He watched her in surprise, wondering if she was truly so amazing. He asked if she had ever worked on something like this before. She looked thoughtful and said video editing wasn't her main skill, but she used to do programming at her old job. Curious, he asked if she knew a lot about this stuff. She modestly replied that she knew more than the average person. She asked him to wait a second and turned to her bag. When she turned back, she had 3 large bills in her hand. She looked concerned as she told him to take the money, saying it was payment for editing the video. He was startled and protested that he didn't need to be paid. She insisted, saying she wanted him to do other things too. She told him she wanted to hire him. He said if it was about editing, she could just ask an agency or office to do it. She muttered that it wasn't impossible, but then explained that the current situation was complicated and it would be very difficult. She said it would be risky to ask someone she didn't know to do it. She told him she knew his identity, among other things, and asked him to help her with Nina's streams.